Welcome to a day of hot topics here on The View. Thank you for that welcome.
Very nice.
But Joy,
yeah,
it must be a little surprising to get a welcome like this after your weekend.
Well, first of all, I had two things this weekend. One, I had dinner with the governor of New York, David Patterson.
How was David doing?
He's a lovely man,
Yeah.
but unless I'm on death row, I can never use that contact. Whatever.
Was this you and he? You and Governor Patterson?
About 12 people. He was very charming. And the other thing that happened to me is I went to an art show in the Hamptons, you know, and there was a big art show, beautiful stuff. And this guy who comes over to me with a camera, and he was somebody who worked for magazines out there. And he says, "Can I take your picture?" Now, I had no hair and makeup. The hair was draped. I had just driven there. I was like, let me take your picture and put it in the magazine. I said, I really would rather you didn't, because I don't look right, you know. He storms away. I thought you were a real person. And takes off. I feel like saying to him, you know what, let me get some Botox and hair and makeup so I could be a real person. Don't you think that was sort of like over the top to attack me like that? I thought you were a real
I think a lot of people don't understand, because you see us with the hair and makeup, and without it, sometimes you just look really different. And then they publish that picture everywhere, and it looks crazy.
I think just on average, like, women probably wouldn't want their picture taken if they don't feel good about themselves. You'd be having a day that just you feel off, and if someone's like, let's all take a picture together, you'd say, oh, I don't really want to, let me take the picture and you guys get in it. I think that's a normal thing for any woman to feel that way.
So you agree I am a real person?
Yes.
I have no comment.
I'd like the audience to clap if they think I'm a real person.
You are not. You're not a hologram.
It's one of those things where people want you to be sometimes, and they don't realize it often, but they don't realize that they want you to be what they expect you to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're just, or you're, doing something, or it's a moment that is not conducive to a photograph or a cheery thought to someone, you have to say, I can't. And just know that some people are going to get pissed off. This guy's going to get pissed off because he's a magazine guy. He wants a picture.
But I guess they used to people saying, oh, of course, darling, is this real?
I think not.
Or no, also too, especially with comics, you get on stage and you're up and you did, and I think people expect that all the time. So when you're just like,
when you're a celebrity, people expect it. Because people build up ideas of who you're supposed to be. Yeah. I tell you, people would be shocked if they knew the truth sometimes. It's just like, if I'm at the gambling table, don't come up to me. If I am gambling,
it's very distracting.
Don't mess with me. No. Now, I have said this for a good 2 years since I've been here. Or if I'm eating, you see a fork in my hand and a person I'm talking to, probably should wait until after I finish eating. Because, as you all know, in the audience and at home, you don't want to be bothered when you're in the middle of something. You just don't. And if it ain't your kid, it's like you have to wait. But people will say, you're such a bitch. And I go, yeah. Once I get excited about eating something, get out of my way, because, I'm not a big eater.
And the fork could be considered a weapon in this case.
Yes, it could. In this case,
But they do that with me, because I got a girlfriend who played on a show called The Pretender, and her character was very, mean and evil. Yeah. Nobody ever approached her, because I think she gave off that air, and she was the nicest person in the world. I think when you play a character that's not, very...
Well, the key word here is character.
Yeah. No, but
I
have to say, though, it doesn't bother me when people come up to me at all, even when I'm eating sometimes. But to say that you're not a real person, that really hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. What is that brown stuff? What is that brown stuff on the floor? I better get my boots.
Who cares?
Listen, Judge Jeanine Pirro was here today with us, and she's got some of the biggest crime court cases in the headlines. And, we're going to be asking about the latest on Michael Jackson, including LaToya reportedly telling a British paper she thinks Michael was murdered. This is not the only member of the Jackson family, apparently, that has this feeling. Joe Jackson said the same thing on another show this morning. Will we ever know, do you think? Does it matter now? I mean, it's not going to bring him back.
Well,
Does it matter?
Cause of death is what deferred right now, right, on the autopsy report.
I think so.
So I think that people are hungering, they're hungry for an answer. And I don't know if it's, apparently there was some talk about track marks on Michael's body, allegedly, and then whether or not it was a slow killing, is it sort of like that Anna Nicole Smith situation where someone starts giving you drugs, and we all have free will, and then all of a sudden you're like prisoner and really captive to the person who's giving you what you want. If that's the case, I think we'll hear more as time goes on.
Yeah, and I don't know if us fans or family, you want any kind of closure, because I know I was looking at the news and they were saying Janet was trying to do an intervention as well, and was not,
She was.
He was cutting off a lot of, supposedly, he's cutting off a lot of people.
Because sometimes the intervention is too late. Got to go in there early.
We don't know, even if this had been happening for years prior, so it's so much stuff that's coming out. We don't know.
People just want the truth, but you have to wonder why. Like, who wants the truth and what's it to them? You know what I mean? Like, who wants it? Well, is it us? I mean, does it change our lives?
Yeah,
maybe not.
The truth will set you free. You really do need a person who loves you to tell you the truth. A child, your children, your husband, your wife, your mother, your
But if you don't take it, if they can tell you the truth, if you don't...
keep saying
or
it.
if you fire people who tell you the truth and you don't like what they have to say and you don't want them around you, what are people supposed to do?
What do you do with it?
I just think it's he died of neglect in a certain way because people neglected to help him at a certain point.
I would venture to tell you you're wrong about that. There are a lot of folks. One of the things with addicts, man, you can talk to you're black in the face, I mean, that's what happened to me. I talked and talked. No, but
just black.
That's right. I was actually Chinese.
What is the primary version of that statement? You blew in the face. Till you're blue in the face.
But you wouldn't know if I was blue in the face, so I made it so you could tell the difference. But the truth is, when you're dealing with addiction, whether it's gambling addiction or alcoholism or drugs or food, people don't want to hear when they don't want to hear, and you can do everything you can, and you can take as good a care and be as good a friend and as good a family member, but sometimes it's not, it's not going to be enough. And they always say, oh, somebody's got to hit rock bottom, but sometimes people die.
Who's the guy we had on before who come in, he did the interventions? Yeah, what's his, I'm forgetting the guy who does it in real life. He comes and he actually goes and gets people in those situations where no one else can actually tap into that circle and get them. He physically removes them from it, and I don't know if that's what it takes, but
it still comes back to the person's their own choice.
That person deciding, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, and that's when the click happens. That's when people get up and they say, this is not good for me. But until then, you can do everything. You can intervene as often as you want, but the person has to be ready.
What about enablers, though? I mean, we're seeing in this case, supposedly this physician did not have a license to distribute, was it Demerol or whatever drug that was, allegedly.
But he's one of many, and if Michael is insane, again, when you have somebody who is a personality, as the four of us are, if we decided not to let anybody into our world, they wouldn't get in. Your personal, when you decide that you don't want people to know who you're dealing with, they won't know.
So you're saying if it wasn't that doctor, it would have been another one?
It probably was.
But at some point, the enabling's got to stop,
But when you're getting a big old paycheck, you got a lot of people.
Big old paychecks. You want to talk about big old paychecks? American Idol host Ryan Seacrest just signed a 3-year, $45 million deal, believed to be the most lucrative in reality history.
Wow.
So this is the most lucrative in reality history.
You know what's interesting is I went to the live taping of American Idol, and I have to say, I mean, he does his radio show, he works, I mean, I can't even comprehend that amount of money, but he actually is, I think, one of the people in the business. I find him so incredibly talented at what he does. Yes, and he works hard.
But he took over Rick Dees' show, Kiss FM. He's got a couple reality shows. Denise Richards.
The other guy on Idol. That's what I want to know.
Brian Dunkelman. You guys remember Brian Dunkelman, who was with Ryan? He was with Ryan. He's a stand-up with Ryan the very first season of American Idol. It was he and Ryan. Then he left voluntarily, I think, because he said he didn't like the way the judges treated the contestants.
He was sorry he left.
$45 million.
That doesn't mean he would have gotten it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean, you know, he's been working consistently.
But I wonder if he's going, maybe I could have got a little bit of a portion of a little percentage of a little something.
I don't think you could. I think Ryan's like a solo. I think he's meant to be by himself because he does what he does. I don't think a wingman's right for him.
Ryan says that he said he admitted that he made a mistake in leaving.
Well, but, you know, that doesn't, again, it didn't mean that he was going to get that money. It didn't mean that he was going to be anything like Ryan Seacrest. It's all individual. But wait a minute, speaking of strange things, Richard Hatch, who won Survivor's
to bail us out in this country.
Remember, it's half of that. Taxes.
Okay, $22.5 million.
And agents and managers. I mean, everybody takes a piece.
$19 million.
No, it's more. It's less than that, actually.
Okay, $16 million. Less than that.
Well, if you're in the 50% bracket,
you're still happy waking up in the morning.
Like
15% to a manager.
We'll be bailing the country out with
working 4,000 jobs. That tells you the man is hopefully saving some money. But speaking of a man who maybe saved some money and didn't pay any taxes, what about Richard Hatch?
Oh, I thought
he won Survivor's